Hello everyone. Today we're doing number 20 from LeetCode. This problem was given from Facebook for the software engineering title. Now, this here takes into consideration that you need to know stack and queue. So it's a very common problem, and I got asked in my coding interview for something alike. So it's a very common thing, and I think that everyone should be able to know the solution. So with that said, let's actually read the problem and see what we're going to do with it. Given a string s containing just the characters these, so open and closing brackets, determine if the input string is valid. An input string is valid if open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets, and open brackets must be closed in the correct order. So actually, if you think about it, you see this all around in Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio Writer. Here, you can see that whenever I open, then I get a closed one as well automatically. So if I decide to create a function here or just a for each loop, yes, I'm just going to open. I'm not going to do anything else, and you can see that it closes it for me. So this is something that's very commonly used. We don't think about it, and that is why so many firms like to give it as a test to see the way you think. So what I'm going to do now is if I have opening brackets, so let me just write a comment here real fast. If I have opening brackets, I'm just going to put them into a stack. So this one goes to the stack, this one goes to the stack, this one, and at the first closed one, I know I need to be sure that this closing here corresponds to this opening, right? Because if I have this, and I'm going to delete now, this is definitely not a valid thing. As you can see, it even lines it at red. This is not okay. So I'm going to open with curly bracket, and then I'm going to close. But here, this closing bracket needs to be the same type as the last open one. So that's pretty much the problem. Now, in order for me to do that, I can say equals dot equals, but it's going to be a bit of more work to write them. So I'm just going to go with a dictionary. Now I've made it already, so I don't waste time because it's very slow. But here what I have is an opening key corresponds to a closing value. And I just took this here. Now I need to know if there's any other brackets, then I'm going to put them into the dictionary here. But since we have these 6, I just have these 3 keys. It should be working fine. So the thing that we said that we're going to need definitely is a stack, so let's go and implement that. A stack of characters, and I'm just going to call it popping stack probably. And go with popping stack. It's going to be equal to a new stack of chars. Okay, now I'm going to need to iterate through the loop. Now I'm going to write the comment here so you see what we're doing. What I want is to put everything in the stack until I get a closing one. So that's going to be pretty easy, right? Int index is less than s length, and I'm just going to increment it. And what I'm going to do here is if not in dictionary dot contains key current char is equal to s of index. If we don't contain current char, then this means that I'm going to have a closing one, and else I'm just going to, as I said, push it into the stack. What I'm going to push the current char. Okay. So what happens when I have a closing one? First, I need to be sure that I do have a closing one, so I don't have it as a key. And I need to be sure that I can pop from the stack, so I'm going to say popping stack dot count is not equal to 0. Okay. So now what I want is, oops, something happened, sorry. So what I want now is I'm going to take, let's take the closing scope is going to be equal to the current, so I can just say current char. Okay, so this is going to give me, for example, this closing scope, right? This is not anywhere to be found as a key, so I'm just going to take it. Now I want to take the thing from the stack, so I'm just going to say probably or probable. Let's just go with popped value. Scope is going to be equal to the thing that we pop from the stack. So this is popping stack dot pop. So this in our case is going to give us this line. And now what I need to do is to take this as a key, to use this key to take a value and see if this value is going to be equal to the closing scope. The way I can do that is if I can say dictionary, actually scope dictionary, and here I see that, oops, I also used it wrongly. What's going on? If not in scope dictionary, and I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, so if scope dictionary try get value in our popped, where do I want to place it actually? I'm going to try to get a value from this thing over here. So I'm going to use try get value popped, and I'm going to put it into possible scope. So if we get something from the possible scope, and now I need to check if these things are equal. So I'm going to say if possible scope not equal to closing scope, I'm just going to return false. And that's pretty much it, I think. And if I don't achieve anything, I think I'm just going to return false again. I'm not sure here because I lost it a bit. So if I get the value into the possible scope, and if I don't manage to get the value, it means that it's another closing bracket. Yeah, so it means that it's probably this or this or this, and that's not going to be okay. It means that we're going to be having something like closing, and then I'm going to use this. So that's not going to be definitely okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So if everything is okay, we're taking it into the possible scope, and if possible scope does not be equal to a closing one, I'm just going to return false. Otherwise, I'm going to be returning false again. And for the final thing, after the loop, what I want to see is I want to check if the whole stack is actually whole. So popping stack.count equals 0. That's what I want to check. I want to check if everything from the stack is actually popped. Okay, so let's run code and see if this is going to work. Because I think that we're going to have some problems. Do expect problems here. But if I wrote it correctly, it should be okay. Okay. Yeah, let's go with example. This case is I'm going to place something that I want. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to go closing, closing. Okay, so what I was thinking is that this is not even going to go into the stack. So that, I don't know if this should be problematic because we're just going to use a closed one here. And then I'm going to check this one. I'm going to check this one against this one, right? Because whenever we have something of a closing type, then we're checking the previous value. So this is never going to be checked, but we're going to check this one. And both of them are going to be wrong. So I should be returning false both ways. So let's check with this example, and if everything works, I'm just going to place it to the server. Okay, seems to be working. Let's submit it. And hope for... Alright, well, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to show. I'm surprised actually that it worked so well. I thought that I'm going to have problems here. But as I said, so here, what I was worried about was that I'm going to check these two, and there might be chances that I'm going to skip through a bracket, but this is actually not going to happen because whenever I have a closing type, I'm just going to check for the value against it for the previous one. So this thing here that I was worried that we're going to skip is never happening, since I'm just always checking whenever I have a closed one. And I'm always checking because I say if it's not a key, right, then it means that it's a closing variable. Okay, well, that was it. Thank you for watching, guys. This is a very common problem. It's always nice to know it. So take your time, write it down, and hopefully you understood it. If you have any problems, leave them in comments as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.